Good evening, Team Dunbar. It's Principal Ingram, and I'm so glad to be back with you for week 2 of our summer reading series. Listen, with everything that's going on in the world, it is imperative that we stay connected to one another and we share our voices in a united format so that we can listen, hear from each other, and learn together. And so this week will be no different. I'm so excited about the book that we'll be presenting and discussing on teams immediately following. Remember, I will be texting, I will be emailing, and that information will be in the comment section so that you can get connected to us at 6:30 immediately following the broadcast of today's story. Listen, lots of updates in our district, so I do want to take a second to update you and remind you of everything that's going on. While no definitive decisions have been made in regards to our reentry plan, our superintendent and our school board, they want to hear from you. There's a parent survey that is available. I'll repost that link on our page, and I'll put that in the comment section as well. There are also reentry listening sessions, limited capacity, but to get your voice in, you can send an email, and we'll also make sure that that information is posted for you as well. Make sure your voice is heard. You all know me, and you know that my number one priority for our students is to have a safe and orderly environment. You can't learn if it's not safe and it's not orderly. And so parents, we want to hear from you so that we make the right decision for reentry. Also, shout out to our school board and Superintendent Ray for approving digital devices for every student in the district. That's going to be major. And parents, we're counting on you to help us make this thing happen and make it work. We are so excited. We know that was one of the major challenges during our first extended closure. But again, shout out to our school board and Superintendent Ray for bridging that digital gap. And now that we have that gap and it's closing, parents, we can work together to ensure we include or enclose, matter of fact, eliminate the achievement gap working together. So those are all of the updates. Everything that I mentioned, I'll make sure that I get it reposted on our page. Wait a minute. One last thing I thought about. So we were going to have the Summer Learning Academy at Dunbar, right? But of course, due to COVID-19, we're not quite ready to come back together. But there are a couple of spaces left for the digital Summer Learning Academy. And I'll get that information reposted as well so that we can enrich our children over the summer and we can kind of curve the corona curve. Get it? I know, a little corny. Nonetheless, it's a great opportunity. Join in with Shelby County Schools and let's take advantage of some of those opportunities. Now, for this week's book, I'm so excited about it. It's from Mr. Karamo Brown, and he actually wrote it with his son. And so as I'm reading, you'll kind of hear my voice change a bit because I'm moving from character to character. And boys and girls, you know, those are part of the story elements as we read through the book. Our plot tells us what's going to happen, and then we always look for our characters because the characters are the people who are involved in moving the plot forward. So boys and girls, we're in for a good ride today with I Am Perfectly Designed. Excuse me, not a corona cough, by the way. Just clearing my throat. Anyway, listen, we got to laugh, y'all. So much going on. We've got to laugh and just not take ourselves too seriously. But this book, I particularly enjoyed reading. I want to read from the author himself what he said about the book. He said it is an ode to loving who you are exactly as you are. That's all right. I believe I say that again. So listen closely. It is an ode to loving who you are exactly as you are. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to dig in. Let's see what Mr. Brown and his son have to offer us today. I Am Perfectly Designed by Karamo Brown and Jason Brown. It's also illustrated by Anusha Syed. First there was you, Dad. Then there was me. And now there is us. That's right. Now there is us. I don't want to take a second and pause because we got a text feature here and I want you to pay close attention to it. In order for us to tell the difference between who's speaking, the author has used bold print. Remember, bold print is something that we use to draw special attention to the reader. And we want to draw special attention in this case that there are two main characters. There's Dad and then there's the son. And to differentiate between the two, we use plain print and bold print. Let's jump back in. When I first saw me, you said, he is perfectly designed from his head to his toes. And I meant every word, still do. When I was a baby, I looked just like you. Only I had no hair and you had lights. Now it's the opposite. So true. The first thing I remember is being carried on your shoulders while you walked me all over the city. Remember that? I had such a big baby head. Indeed. But your big baby head was perfectly designed for you. When I was real little, I thought you could touch the moon. Remember that? We'd sit on the roof and reach for it. One day, you'll be big enough to reach it yourself. But until then, it's perfectly fine to ask for help. That's major, boys and girls. Never be too proud to ask for help. Remember when we went as syrup and waffles for Halloween, Dad? I do. That was awesome. I wonder what will be this year. When I run in the park, jump in the park, climb trees in the park, and pretend I am a statue in the park, you remind me I am perfectly designed to explore the world. You are, and you always will be. Look at Dad and his son enjoying themselves. So, boys and girls, that's Mr. Karamo, which is the dad, and that's his son, Jason. Sometimes, Dad, when I get mad or sad or confused, you wrap me in your arms. I like that. Me too. And I remind you that you are perfectly designed and wonderful, no matter what you're feeling. Dad, when I grow up and leave home, will you miss me? Yes, very much. Will you go into my room and play with my cars and stuffed animals? You know I will. Will you sit on the fire escape and feed the pigeons like we do in the summer? The pigeons and the sparrows. Will you remember our favorite moves? I will. And I'll invent some new ones too. Dad, will you always think of me? Always. You know what, Dad? What? I will always remember walking through the city and sitting on your shoulders. And maybe when you're older and I'm taller, I can carry you on mine because we are perfectly designed for each other. That's right. What a beautiful story. And before we close, I do want to share with you the letter that they wrote to the reader. It goes like this. Dear reader, it has always been a dream of mine to write a story inspired by the many lessons my father has taught me. When I was growing up, anytime I felt fear or uncertainty, my father would remind me that I was perfectly designed. I think that's major, boys and girls. We'll come back to that. Knowing that at an early age really instilled self-love and confidence in me. which have been hard to find on my own. Now that I'm older, it's easier to walk with my head held up proudly. My father and I felt it was only right to give this message to you. We want readers to never forget that just being your natural self is perfect. It's beautiful in every sense. We know how hard it is to think otherwise, but you can't stop telling yourself this until you feel it. Like everything in life, it takes some time. But with repetition, you will learn to walk with your head held higher than the Eiffel Tower. Signed, Jason Brown. And his dad, Karamo Brown, says, that's exactly right. Boys and girls, what a boring world it would be if we were all exactly the same. And I think it's so important for you to embrace and accept who you are uniquely made to be. You have so many special gifts, so many talents, and things that the world has yet to see. And so I want you to be encouraged in who you are. There is no one that is better at being you than you. And so I invite you to join me in just a few minutes at 6:30 on Teams so that we can talk about how cool it is to be you and how we can make your voice bigger and better and wider for the world to see. Listen, it's been my pleasure, and I invite you to join me not only on Teams at 6:30, but join us next week for the third installment of our summer reading series. It's been my pleasure, and as always, remember at Dunbar Elementary School, we're raising the bar through the arts, academics, and excellence. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.